Ever since her first appearance in the game Sonic CD, Amy Rose has been known as a character who is obsessed with Sonic, and over time that obsession just continued to grow and grow, and that is one of the primary reasons why people do not like this character. However, I actually have a completely different perspective on Amy Rose as a whole. Yes, I'm well aware that she is obsessed with Sonic the Hedgehog and she can be a bit annoying at times. However, I don't think that makes her a bad character. There are plenty of other things that Amy has to offer that make her a great character, and in today's video, we are going to discuss this. What's going on, guys? It's your boy SONICSTA back at it again with another video, and today we're going to be talking about Amy Rose and how I grew respect for this character. Of course, if at any point you find yourself enjoying this video, that will mean I have done my job correctly, and I think you should reward me with a like and subscribe, because that would really help me go a super long way, and I would really appreciate it. But anyway, let's go forward with the video. Now, Amy's first appearance was actually in a manga, which I actually have not read yet, but I would love to make a video on it in the future, but since I'm not that knowledgeable on it, I'm going to move on to her first video game appearance, and that was Sonic CD. With Sonic CD's release, we only knew a couple things about Amy Rose's character. Number one, she played with tarot cards to predict the future, and number two, she had a huge obsession with Sonic, and we wouldn't really find out anything else about this character until the release of Sonic Adventure. Sonic Adventure is actually one of the most important games for Amy's character, as this is actually the first time we actually see her fully fleshed out. Sonic Adventure actually provides a lot of character development for Amy, in which the first cutscene for her is actually just her talking about how she misses the times where Sonic was always rescuing her, but during the events of this game, you actually see Amy save someone else, and that is the small bird Lily, and she plays a major role in the actual story. At the end of Amy's story in Sonic Adventure, she actually proves strong enough to take down the robot known as Zero that was chasing her in every single level. Not only that, but she also reunites Lily with her family. I think this actually proves miles for Amy, because at the beginning of the game, as I said earlier, she is someone who prefers to be rescued than do the rescuing. And by the end of the game, she's taking down one of Eggman's most lethal robots in the entire game, known as Zero. Sonic Adventure portrayed Amy as a character who actually had untapped potential. She was unaware of what she could do until she actually did it, and that's what made Amy such a great character in the game Sonic Adventure. Now, when I say all of this, I'm not saying this just to not acknowledge the fact that Amy did have an obsession with Sonic in this game, because she spent a lot of it actually looking for him. But it's important to acknowledge that up until this point, Amy's only character ever was her being obsessed with Sonic. So in essence, this was just the basic framework of her character, and they expanded upon it in this game. So yeah, of course, the whole obsession with Sonic thing is still going to be there regardless. The next game that released after Sonic Adventure that I really want to talk about is Sonic Adventure 2. When it comes to Amy, this game actually did a lot for her character, despite not being as much in the spotlight. Much like the original Sonic Adventure, Sonic Adventure 2 actually has Amy carry that exact same obsession with Sonic over into this game. In one of the earlier cutscenes in the game, she makes a mistake and assumes that Shadow the Hedgehog is Sonic the Hedgehog, but that just kind of shows her infatuation with Sonic. Admittedly, this does not paint the prettiest picture of Amy, as it actually demonstrates exactly what everyone hates her for. But even still, moments later she actually goes on to help Tails save Sonic from Prison Island. One of the biggest complaints about Amy's character in Sonic Adventure 2, unlike the initial Sonic Adventure, is that most of the time she actually proves to be pretty useless. However, I think she has one major defining moment that actually turns the tide of the entire game, and it's all because of her. This moment is actually my favorite Amy moment of all time, and the reason why I made this video, because I just love it so much, and that's the fact when she changes Shadow's opinion about the world. Amy changes Shadow's perspective by just reminding him that there is still a lot of good in the world, even if there are some bad people out there. And in turn, this kind of reminds Shadow of Maria.
Shadow, I beg you, please do it for them. Give them a chance.
Shadow, I beg of you, please, do it for me. Maria!
This not only made Shadow actually go help out Sonic in defeating the Biohazard and then the final hazard, but it also changed his character for the upcoming Sonic games. And I think without Amy having made this action in trying to aid Shadow, Shadow would have never been the character we all know him to be. And that's kind of why I'm a little irritated that Sonic X actually made Chris the one who reminded Shadow of Maria rather than Amy, but even still, that's a side note. Now we get to Sonic Heroes, which, I guess, I hate to admit it, does not portray Amy good really at all. I mean, it does have the same aspect of her trying to fight off the Eggman robots, and she does it successfully like she did in Sonic Adventure, but her desire for Sonic is much stronger than it's ever been before, even asking him to marry her at one point.
Sonic, this time there's no way out of marrying me.
While admittedly this is not the greatest moment for Amy Rose, I still don't think it was as bad as everyone says it is. I mean, I found it to be more comedic than annoying, if anything. Not to mention, Amy was actually handling a lot of these Eggman robots, and was actually aiding in the final boss battle. So it's not like she did absolutely nothing during the entire game, other than obsess about Sonic. So we still need to give her some credit for that. Not to mention, Team Rose did actually manage to get a Chaos Emerald in the process of this entire game. Moving on, however, we have the game Shout at the Hedgehog, which I honestly don't remember Amy doing a whole lot in, but then again, that was a Shout at the Hedgehog game, and Shadow doesn't really deal with Amy all that much, aside from the event I talked about earlier in Sonic Adventure 2. In this game, she does actually have the help of Shadow to find Cream, and she does help Shadow defeat the Egg Breaker, but aside from that, that's really all she does. However, in the next game, Sonic the Hedgehog 2006, Amy proves that she's not just physically strong, but also mentally. Throughout the entirety of the game Sonic 06, Amy is guided by Silver in trying to find Sonic and also the Iblis Trigger. Then they find out that the Iblis Trigger is Sonic, and Amy is the one who's trying to stop Silver from fighting Sonic. And I think this is the moment where Amy actually peaks in this game. Judging by the game's cutscenes in Sonic 06, it seems as if Silver is actually beating Sonic in this fight, but Amy decides to stand in the middle between these two so Silver cannot finish him off. Essentially, Amy actually puts herself in harm's way to protect Sonic, and even though Silver is winning this fight, Amy proves to be fearless, and I think that's a really important personality trait to highlight here. Not to mention, she also did this in the game Sonic Adventure, which I talked about earlier, where she protected E-102 Gamma from Sonic the Hedgehog. She actually stood in the way of Sonic to prevent this robot that she hardly knew from getting destroyed. This is a really cool personality trait to note because Amy will stand up for what she thinks is right and for her friends. I actually think this is one of Amy's best character traits, and I feel like it goes completely unrecognized. All everyone wants to talk about is how Amy is obsessed with Sonic, but no one talks about just how strong-willed she is as a character. Not to mention, later on in this game, she actually does somewhat rescue Princess Elise. At least she gets her off of the Egg Fleet. I also want to add that even at the end of the game Sonic 06, she still plays a pivotal role in getting a Chaos Emerald in order to bring Sonic back to life. So yeah, I'd say at the very least, Amy is a strong character in this game and plays a very important role. Going back to the whole personality trait of Amy being strong-willed, I want to go take us to Sonic Unleashed. In this game, she's one of the few people that actually end up believing that Sonic can save the world.
It's simply a miracle. We've been saved by a miracle.
I told you, didn't I? There was no way Sonic would let something like that happen.
In my own personal opinion, I think Sonic Unleashed actually had the perfect Amy. She was one that still loved Sonic but wasn't going to overly obsess about him. And another thing to note here is that she still actually had a lot of belief in her friends and their capabilities. Then of course there's the game Sonic and the Black Knight, which I think is the last great portrayal of Amy. Now, a lot of the elements here actually stayed relatively the same. I mean, I know this actually isn't Amy, this is the Lady of the Lake, but the whole personification here is relatively the same. I do like that they gave the Lady of the Lake like a pretty big role here, as she actually ends up pretty much guiding Sonic on what to do and where to go next. This not only makes the Lady of the Lake seem wise, but it also in turn kind of makes Amy seem wise in her own right. I mean, we already knew that Amy was at least somewhat a smart character, as she gave other characters advice before, like Shadow the Hedgehog, but even still, this actually gives her a lot more ground to stand on for being a wise character. While the entity of the Lady of the Lake and also Amy are pretty different in their own right, it's still technically the same character at its core. So honestly, you could say that Amy plays a pretty big role in this game, and that is what's really great about this. So the games that actually follow Sonic and the Black Knight begin what we know as the 2010s era of Sonic the Hedgehog. And while it may not be viewed as the best era, it still also did not really have the best character writing for anybody. Unfortunately, Amy was no exception. While she wasn't in the game Sonic Colors, she was in Sonic Generations and played a pretty bare minimum role, as well as many of the other characters aside from Sonic, Tails, and Tails. In Sonic Generations, the only big thing worth noting about Amy's character is that she is still obsessed with Sonic, and the same can be said for every single game that follows Sonic Generations. In the game Sonic Lost World, Amy is there from time to time with Knuckles, and they just provide updates to Sonic what's going on in their world. In the game Sonic Forces, Amy does play a pretty big role as a member of the Resistance, and in the IDW comic, she's actually made leader of the Resistance, so that's pretty much the extent of where Amy ends up being. During the 2010s era of Sonic the Hedgehog, we don't really see Amy do a whole lot of the stuff we're so used to seeing her do, and I think that's just because a lot of the characters suffered during this time due to writing. A lot of the redeemable qualities that Amy once had, she now lacks in the 2010s era, and hopefully this all gets fixed, but all that was left to really remember her by was her obsession with Sonic, and that was all we could really say about it. I mean, it was cool to see her move up in the ranks of the Resistance, but just how important is that in the grand scheme of things? Personally, I doubt we'll see the Resistance in any other future Sonic game, so her being the leader of this Resistance is kind of, I guess, useless. I'd love to see Amy return back to her roots as she was in the game Sonic Unleashed. This was pure Amy, and I feel like this should not go forgotten. That said though, I do want to make this clear. If you think that Amy is a bad character because of the 2010s era, then I feel like you have to say that every single character that was used in the 2010s era is also bad in comparison. Nearly every single one of the Sonic characters we all know and love were stripped from their redeemable qualities and just made pretty much background or side characters without anything to write home about. Putting the 2010s era aside, Amy is a very well crafted character, much like a lot of the other characters in the Sonic the Hedgehog series, and I feel like we should not just overlook this because of what happened recently. Recency bias will kill us all. Amy is a great character. What's going on, guys? Thank you all so much for sticking around to the end of the video, but now I want to hear from you. What are your thoughts on Amy Rose? Let me know in the comment section down below. I'd love to check out your responses. Personally, I believe that Amy Rose is a really well-written character, and I think that should not go overlooked just because of what happened recently. Anyway, I now want to move on to shout out my amazing channel members. Thank you all so much for supporting me and my channel. You guys are truly the best. I know I say this a lot, but I really do wake up every morning and praise the Lord for you amazing people. Thank you all again so very much. If you're interested in becoming a member of my channel, there will be a link in the description down below. But if you want to support me through other means, leaving a like, comment, and subscribing would definitely go a super long way. But anyway, thank you all so much for watching. This is SONICSTA signing out. Have a super blessed day, y'all.
Why are you playing that trash?